Hello students, let's begin with our module 3 of export finance. So far we have studied about the methods of payment, we spoke about the counter trading part of it, and we also spoke about letter of credit, what's meaning, different types of letter of credit, and the procedure followed to get the letter of credit. So now in today's audio, we are going to start with the kind of loan or finance that can be given to the exporter from the various financial institutions. So basically, the loan is categorized into two parts, that is pre-shipment finance and post-shipment finance. So again, a very favorite question of the university. There are three ways how this question can be expected into your exams. There can be a full-fledged question about write down the features of pre-shipment finance, or there can be a question about write down the features of post-shipment finance, or whatever, write a short note on pre-shipment finance or a short note on post-shipment finance. Or else, many a times it has also been asked about distinguish between pre-shipment finance and post-shipment finance. So at that point of time, you should be able to understand and write it good around 7 to 8 points for the features, or even if they ask you as a distinguish between. Let's begin with understanding the meaning of pre-shipment and post-shipment finance, because once when the meaning is clear, I'm sure you will be able to write the explanation of the pointers on your own. So as the word itself says, pre-shipment finance, that means the loan which is given to the exporter before the goods are loaded into the ship. So if you try to analyze it or remember it like a story, you will be able to understand that there are n number of work that they need to do it before the goods are loaded into the ship. So you talk about purchasing raw material, production of goods, or converting the raw material into finished goods, or appointing laborers to work for it, or even for that matter, purchasing machinery. So all this is going to require a good amount of money. And if at the initial stage the exporter is not having sufficient finance, he can take a loan from the bank. So therefore, we say that pre-shipment finance is a loan provided by a finance provider, which is a bank, to a seller, that means an exporter, of goods or services for the sourcing, manufacturing, or conversion of raw material or semi-finished goods into the finished goods and or services, which are then delivered to the buyer. So we are not emphasizing on the delivery part right now. We are mainly focusing about gathering funds, especially to produce the goods or to acquire the raw materials or the machinery. So for all these reasons, when we need loan, when we need finance, we can easily get it from the bank. But again, there are certain criteria, there are certain policies that we need to follow as an exporter. So what are those that we will discuss in the another slide. So along with that, let us also understand what do we mean by post-shipment finance. Pre-shipment, before the goods were loaded into the ship. Post-shipment, after the goods are loaded into the ship. So again the question, goods तो बना के हो गया है, raw material हो गया है, packaging हो गया है. So for what reason now we'll require money after the goods are loaded into the ship? So even after goods are loaded into the ship, there are n number of expenses that exporter needs to bear. You talk about the freight charges, that is the transportation charges. You talk about insurance charges. You talk about in case if exporter takes a responsibility of marketing their goods or advertising the goods. So for all this also he would, and again documentation is a part of it, a huge amount of taxes that we have studied, tariff and non-tariff barrier that exporter has to bear. So for all this, again, a good amount of money is involved into it. So to bear all these expenses, a post-shipment finance can be taken by the exporter from the bank. So post-shipment finance is a kind of a loan that is provided by a financial institution to an exporter or a seller against a shipment that has already been made. So this type of export finance is granted from the date of extending the credit after the shipment of goods to realization of date of export proceeds that we have. Okay, so this was just the brief introduction or a meaning of what do we mean by pre-shipment and post-shipment finance. Let's go ahead and understand what are the features of pre-shipment finance. So these are just the pointers. So you need to elaborate it and you need to explain in at least 5 to 6 lines every pointer. And again, as I said, if it comes for full 7.5 marks or 8 marks, so any 8 point that you write, that is more than sufficient. So let's understand in what way the eligibility can be considered to get the pre-shipment finance loan. So who is eligible? Anyone and everyone who proves that he has received an order from so and so importer can get a loan or will be eligible to get a loan from the finance institution that we have. So how will I prove that? Just that I show a mail and I prove it will not work. So as we said in our earlier audio, that letter of credit plays a very important and a crucial role. Because if you see the story, how it works, as soon as the exporter gets the order, importer जैसे order place करता है, exporter का काम है, see as it is, exporter is not going to get the money quickly. Even if he doesn't require money, goods का डिलीवरी हो गया और तुरंत पेमेंट होने वाले में से नहीं है when we are dealing in the international markets. So whenever we talk about exports, it is a duty of an exporter to request for letter of credit. Because a letter of credit is a guarantee, is an assurance that exporter gets from the importer's bank that so and so importer will make so and so payment by so and so period. So it's like green signal for an exporter that he will be getting the money or a good amount of money in near future. So this eligibility is mainly by getting a letter of credit and not only the confirmation of order. So again, for your objective oriented question, many a times it is asked, dash is mandatory, dash document is mandatory for free shipment finance, letter of credit. Based on dash document, pre-shipment finance is released, letter of credit. No? So letter of credit will play a very important role, crucial role to get the pre-shipment finance from the banks to the exporter. Okay. So that we need to have. What is the purpose? What is the reason? What they are going to do about the money that they receive from the bank? They will be purchasing the raw material. They will be giving it to the laborers or payment of the wages, or if they want to purchase any machinery. So basically, to convert the raw material into the finished goods के लिए कहीं पे भी ये पैसा वो लोग use कर सकते हैं. Then very important, what kind of a documentary evidence that they will be needing it. So as we said, letter of credit is also one of the important documents, which is again mandatory, and that will also prove that this particular exporter has received the order. So yeah, a letter of credit that they will be needing it. Confirmed export order. So यहाँ पे even a mail or a letter from the importer that so and so amount of goods that they need to have, that is also more than enough. Then we have the relevant policy issued by ECGC, because why ECGC? ECGC is Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of India, who takes a responsibility of protecting the exporter and also the financial institution from the commercial and political risk that is involved in the international trade. So when they know that in case it is not mandatory again, but in case if the exporter is a part of or he has taken the ECGC card thing, then that document can help us at the time of crisis. Okay, so अगर वो letter है, वो policy उन्होंने लिया है, that also has to be disclosed at the time of taking the loan. Apart from that, the personal bond from sureties known to the bank. So these all are the evidences or documentary that can be produced at the time of taking the loan. Further, modes of pre-shipment finance or methods of pre-shipment finance that can be considered. So there are 3 methods, 3 forms. The very first one, it is called as cash packing credit loan. That means the cash that you can get it in terms of loan. Then you have against hypothecation. That means कुछ चीजें गिरवी रखकर loan लेना है. Because in case if you are not able to repay back the loan, then how these banks are going to retrieve their amount? So they need to have some kind of security, some kind of assurance that अगर पैसा नहीं आता है, तो we will be able to take the custody of so and so asset. So you talk about the land or any kind of houses, homes, or any other assets which can nullify or which will be very close to the amount of loan that they are taking. So against hypothecation that they can get it. And the lastly is against the pledge, that is against a promissory note or agreement that they can sign stating that we will be repaying back the loan by so and so date. That is all about the modes or methods of pre-shipment finance. Then we have amount of pre-shipment finance. One more thing which I need to highlight and tell you very concretely, that pre-shipment finance is also called as packing credit. So many a times in exams also, even for your objective oriented question, they may ask you, pre-shipment finance is also termed as dash. So packing credit. Or even in question they may ask you, explain the features of packing credit. So you did not go blank area, what is packing credit? Packing credit ही pre-shipment finance के लिए दूसरा नाम है. So when I have written here amount of packing credit, it is same as amount of pre-shipment finance. So here, if you see, there is no specific amount or percentage that we are going to talk about, because it will vary from every trade to trade, because every trade will be of different amount. And again, they're dealing, some would be from SMEs, or some will be from IT sector, some will be from software technology parks. So even product wise, the things will vary. So we are not specifying on any amount or percentage, but based on the total amount of an order, based on that, they may decide that how much percentage of loan that they are eligible to take it from the bank. So the amount of packing credit depends on the amount of export order and credit rating of the exporter by the bank. Yeah, that is also equally important. The credit rating, or how far they are financially sound. Yeah, that also plays a very important role. So because giving a loan is a big risk, big thing, no doubt a lot of official and precautionary methods are taken care by the banks and financial institutions. But still, at the end of the day, they have to take appropriate precautionary measures so that they can recover back the loan amount from the exporter. So therefore, the credit rating of the exporter will also be checked by the bank, and based on which they will decide whether they need to give the loan to the or what amount of loan that they need to give it to the exporter. The bank may also consider the export incentives that will be receivable by the exporter, such as duty drawback. So government has come up with a lot of financial incentives that are given to encourage the exporter. So incentives ho ya profit ho ya money from the importer ho, all this is going to become the income to the exporter. So whatever the income that exporter receives, the very first thing he will be using that to fulfill the loan part of it, So that's the reason why incentives can also be taken consideration to repay back the loan. Further, yeah, period of packing credit, how many days or what amount of period that is given to repay back the payment to the exporter. So exporter gets actually 180 days from the time the loan has been taken by the exporter. And in case, because there are a lot of uncertainties that exporter has to face, so in case other 180 days if the exporter is not able to repay back the loan, additional 90 days are given to the exporter to make the payment. This means a commercial bank can provide packing credit for a period of maximum 270 days. You need to remember these figures, because again, a very good amount of objective oriented questions are asked. Twist and turn करके कहीं पे भी कैसे भी पूछा जा सकता है. Or even when you're writing the explanation, that has to be clearly mentioned that 180 plus extension of 90 days. Therefore, total 270 days of period is given to repay back the loan. That has to be highlighted. That has to be told. Then we have a rate of interest that will be charged. Again, the rate of interest keeps on fluctuating. A rate of interest to the small scale traders and the IT sector will vary. So we will not focus and specify on a particular interest rate that they will be charging. So we can just write a note stating that packing credit is provided at a lower rate of interest, especially to encourage the exporter to enter in the international trade and fetch more of foreign currency for the overall development of the country. However, with effect from 1st July 2010, commercial banks must charge interest on packing credit at the best rate of the above, the base rate, and not below the base rate that we have. So that is all about the rate of interest. Again, it's not like we are taking the loan from the unorganized sector or something. So we need to have a proper loan agreement that will be made by the between the exporter and the bank. So before disbursement of loan, it is a duty of bank to sign a contract or make a, they have again a prescribed format, and that has to be taken care by the bank to make those documented, and wherever required, exporter must read it carefully, understand the clauses, and sign it accordingly as and when it is, wherever it is required. Further, maintenance of accounts. Obviously, a proper accounts are to be maintained and settled also at the end, so that you know whatever loan that they have taken, it can be meet up to the cost. All said and done. Further, it will be the duty of the bank to monitor whether the money that has been taken by the exporter is utilized for the same cause or not, or whether if it is misused, then the bank always has an authority to take an action against it. So a regular monitoring is required, or a reporting by the exporter is required. And again, as a good quality of an exporter, it becomes his duty to repay back the loan on given time to the bank. That is all about the features of pre-shipment finance. On the same hand, more or less the same pointer will remain for the post-shipment finance also. Only thing, there will be some variations in the explanation that we will be writing it out. Okay. So therefore I said, instead of just mugging it up and by hearting it and remembering every point, understand the concept, understand it like a story, and you can write it. Or you imagine as if you are an exporter, and if you have to export the goods. So as I said, pre-shipment finance means at the beginning of the as soon as you begin your trade, for all such initial stages, you will be requiring the money. But once when the goods are loaded, मतलब आधा story complete हो जा रहा है आपका, right? उसके बाद भी in between, you may take a loan, you may need money to meet up your other expenses. So keeping all this scenario in your mind, we will be talking about these features of post-shipment finance. So the very first thing we need to talk, or we need to know about the eligibility criteria. It remains the same. Only thing, again, letter of credit is mandatory, but since we have done half of the procedure here, so not necessary that apne ko idhar export confirmation order hi chahiye, because we would have received n number of other documents. We talk about commercial invoice, certificate of origin, consular invoice. So those all documents can also be attached to prove that you have done with the half of your work. You're getting? So when you talk about, or when you get a certificate of origin as a document, that itself says that your goods are produced and it has given the authentication that it has been originated from so and so country, you know. So this is how you can, yeah, that can also be a part of your documentary, and that can also be a part of your eligibility that we have. Okay? Further, what is the main purpose of getting this post-shipment finance? The main objective, or the main reason why we need post-shipment finance is to pay the dues of custom house agent, to meet the expenses of documentation or paying the taxes once when the goods are delivered or goods are loaded into the ship, to meet the freight charges, insurance premium that we need to pay. So to meet up all these expenses, we will be needing post-shipment finance. Then what are the forms of post-shipment finance? We can get it negotiated under LC. That is, we can surrender the letter of credit and we can get the money on behalf of this letter of credit, or we can also get it against DBK. What is DBK? It is duty drawback. So we are able to prove it to the bank that we are likely to get this duty drawback, a huge amount of duty that we have paid, and we are going to get it in return because it's a very small, I'm not saying it's a very small amount, but as I said earlier, half of the show is already done. So the remaining amount, whatever small amounts that we need to meet up, उसके लिए अपने को loan लेना है. The amount is not going to be that huge. So here against our duty drawback also, we can take a loan from the bank and advance against bill under collection. So if we have any kind of bill of exchange from a local parties, based on that also we will be able to get the loan from banks as post-shipment finance. So that is all about the forms of post-shipment finance. Further, what is the amount that we can get it as a post-shipment finance? So the amount of post-shipment finance depends upon the working capital requirements of the exporter after shipment and the shipment of the goods that we have. That is all about post-shipment finance. What is the rate of interest that is applicable? Okay, I missed out on this point. Period of post-shipment finance, yeah, this you need to remember. In post-shipment finance, since your half of the story is done, so you will get the freedom of 90 days and plus 90 add-on days, which is as same as your pre-shipment finance. So वहाँ पे होता था pre-shipment में 180 plus 90 days was equal to 270 days, and in post-shipment finance it's going to be 90 plus 90, that is 180 days का period that you will get it to repay back the loan to the banks that we have. So that we need to mention here. And I'm emphasizing on this also, thoda sa comparison mein bhi bata rahi hu, so that when you are writing the distinguish between, you will be able to write it accordingly. Though we will be discussing it, but still. Then we talk about rate of interest. Post-shipment finance facility is granted at the lower rate of interest as compared to the rate of interest charged for the domestic local parties. With effect from 1st July 2010, commercial banks charges interest rate on post-shipment credit at base rate or above base rate of the bank. Further, we have the loan agreement, as it is mandatory to have an agreement between the bank and the exporter to decide the agreement and its clauses, do's and don'ts, and accordingly they can maintain it. Further, the accounts also needs to be maintained and monitored on timely basis so that we know where the money is utilized by the exporter. And finally, it is a duty of the exporter to again see to it that he repay back the loan to the bank. So that is all about the features of pre-shipment and post-shipment finance. So features, as I'm sure you will be able to write it. But if we want to convert the same thing into a distinguished pattern, so the very first thing you will start with the meaning of it. Meaning we have discussed in the very first slide. So in T-shape format, you can do it and write down the meaning. Purpose, again, pre-shipment purpose and objectives are different. It is basically to meet up the initial expenses that the exporter will incur. And post-shipment finance, it will be to meet up the working capital after the goods are loaded into the ship. Then form of finance, that is a type of finance. In pre-shipment finance, we have seen it is under hypothecation or under the promissory note or pledge, and post-shipment finance is mainly under duty drawback or by surrendering LC or bill of exchange. Okay, so these are the three ways how we have bifurcated your, shown the difference. Fourth one is the period. That means how much time period that has been given. For pre-shipment, it is 180 plus 90 days, that is 270 days. And for post-shipment, it is 90 plus 90 days, that is 180 days that we have. Further, even the quantum of credit, comparatively pre-shipment, you will be needing more amounts as you have not even started any work. So the requirement of amount is comparatively more, and post-shipment, it is general or it is very much nominal. So based on all this pointers, I'm sure you will be able to differentiate and distinguish between pre-shipment and post-shipment finance. Further, let's understand what is the procedure that we need to follow to obtain the export finance. Although this is not that very important from the examination point of view, because a lot of time, it's again a favorite question of the university of either pre-shipment or post-shipment only. So this they have not asked many a times, but let me quickly explain you and then we can go to the next topic. So the very first thing as we go to any of the institution, it is all about application. The exporter is asked to apply. Exporter is asked to put an application into the bank about what kind of finance, what kind of a loan that he or she needs to have. So whether they need to have a pre-shipment finance, post-shipment finance, or even the under hypothecation or under pledge. So all that their details, with whom that they are going to trade, the details of the importer, all such things that will be asked in the application. The documents will be asked to be attached, and that is how the application will be submitted to the bank by the exporter. Further, all cross-check and verification will be done by the bank's bank officials, and the application will go further for processing. If things are found to be correct and there are no doubts or counter questions from the bank's end, the loan will get sanctioned. In case, even if there is any kind of the doubts or queries that have been raised, exporter can be called again by the bank official, sorted it out, answer the question, and finish it off. And doing all this, the loan will be sanctioned and a loan agreement has to be made. A loan agreement, though we have discussed it at a later part of it, but it's a very crucial this thing, because before the loan is given, before the loan is transferred, the money is transferred to the exporter's account, the loan agreement has to be made. Whatever do's and don'ts or clauses or policies that they want to put it in the form of agreement, that is to be discussed with the exporter, so that both of them are very much clear what all pointers that they are signing on. So loan agreement is been done. And then we have loan disbursement. That is all about giving the loan or transferring the amount into the exporter's account. Then maintaining a separate account, a separate this thing, so that they know how much slowly and steadily that the amount is been withdrawn and in what way that it has been used. Then once when the money is transferred, accounts are maintained separately. The accounts can be monitored by the banks, and further, as the time proceeds, the exporter can start repaying the money to the bank. So this is how the step by step the loan is sanctioned and the export finance is obtained by the exporter. So that is all about the finance part of it. Now, we will be talking about very important 3 financial institutions or 3 banks who supports the international trade on large scale basis. In fact, they are the one who will motivate, who will assist, who will persuade the exporter to enter in the international trade and make the trade happen. So, which all are these banks? The very first one that we are going to discuss is all about the commercial banks. So, who all are the commercial banks? See, not every banks have rights to, allow the exporter to open their international trade account or to deal with the foreign currency. Only few selected banks have given that authority, have given the rights to allow the exporter to open their international account within their bank and help them to conduct the international trade. So those all come under the commercial banks. Further, we'll be talking about the Exim Bank, that is Export Importers Bank. And lastly, we'll be talking about SIDBI, that is Small Industrial Development Bank of India, who assist MSMEs, that is micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs, especially to enter in the international trade. Because trade, we cannot imagine of trade without having money in our hand. Every trade needs money. Every trade, it's like the income and expenses. पैसा जाता भी है and आता भी है for that matter. Getting? So this is how the money flow, the outflow and inflow of money has to happen on continuous basis, and all these banks will help the exporter to do so. So let's understand what is the role of commercial bank. Again, from the examination point of view, sure shot ये तीनों में से कोई तो एक sure ही आपके एग्जाम में आएगा. It has been again one of the favorite questions from the university. Either the role of commercial bank in the international trade or the role of Exim Bank to facilitate the exporter in dealing to deal in the international market, or the role of SIDBI to enter in the international market. So ये तीनों में से कोई तो एक आप expect कर सकते हैं. So how do we define commercial banks? So commercial banks is a type of bank or financial institution that provides services such as accepting deposit, making business loans, and offering basic investment products. Commercial bank can also refer to a bank or a division of a large bank which more specifically deals with deposit and loan services provided to corporations or large middle-sized business that we have. So that is what is the definition or meaning of commercial bank. So let's understand what do the commercial bank basically do. So we have divided their work in two categories. That is the fund-based, matlab jahan pe money is actually involved into it. And the second one is non-fund-based, where money is not involved. But yes, there are a lot of areas where we need guarantees or where we need advices of the banks, because they know very well how the what is the financial positions of various countries, how is the financial status of other countries, or things like that. So there are a lot of areas, or even for that matter, we need lockers, because we have going to have good amount of maybe if you're dealing in jewelry or pearls or diamonds. So to keep it safe and all, maybe the locker services might also be needed. So that is how the fund, it is basically categorized into fund-based and non-fund-based. So let us focus mainly on the fund-based assistance that we have. Yeah, just now we spoke about pre-shipment finance and post-shipment finance. So it is the basic or the primary responsibility of the commercial banks to assist or to get the pre-shipment and post-shipment finance to the exporter. So when we talk about pre-shipment finance, the commercial banks provide finance on a short-term basis for a normal period of 180 days at a very concessional rate of interest. The various forms of advance are cash packaging credit loan, advance against hypothecation, or advance against pledge. So if you're smart enough, whatever we have studied it right now, teachers का पूरा नहीं लिखना है, but एक दो pointers हम लोग यहाँ पे explanation के तौर पे लिख सकते हैं. Same comes as a part of your post-shipment finance also. So the commercial banks provide finance at the post-shipment stage, normally for the period of 90 days, and at a concessional rate of interest to encourage the exporters to deal in the international market. On what basis or what are the forms of post-shipment finance? It can be purchasing or discounting of bills, overdraft against bills under collection. So based on all this, the post-shipment finance can be acquired. What are the part of or what are the activities that can be done under the non-fund based assistance? As we said, the very first thing is bank guarantees. So RBI has authorized commercial banks to issue guarantees and furnish bid bonds in favor of overseas buyers. Prior permission of RBI is not required except in case of exports of capital goods under deferred payments, construction contracts, consultancy, and technical services contracts and turnkey projects. What are the various guarantees that can be issued by the banks? So the very first one is guarantee for foreign currency loan. So any kind of loans that are sanctioned by a financial institution abroad to the Indian exporter who raises funds to finance their project abroad. So if I am an exporter and I'm getting some kind of loan from the foreign banks, so we need a guarantor. So if the bank knows your financial condition and past um, sales that you have done, so if they are okay with it, they can always give the guarantee on behalf of you. Performance guarantee stating that whatever goods that you are offering, services that you will be offering are really good and qualitative in nature. So for that also the guarantee can be given by the bank. Further, banks issue a guarantee for payment of retention money by the overseas party who would release the retention money to the Indian party only after receiving guarantee from the bank. Further, the bank can also issue advance payment guarantee to the overseas buyer who normally makes certain advance payment to the Indian exporter against a bank guarantee. Banks can issue bid bonds so as to enable the exporter to participate in the various global tenders. So these are the areas, these are the ways how the bank can issue the guarantee, especially to encourage or support the exporters in the international market. Along with the bank guarantees, what are the other services that they can offer it to the exporter? So the banks can collect the export proceeds from the importer and credit the same to the exporter's account. So we spoke about a letter of credit. So when we talk, very generally we spoke about exporters bank, importers bank. So वो वाला role भी ये लोग perform करेंगे. The banks assist the exporter in the collection of useful information on the creditworthiness of the foreign buyer through their foreign agents or branches. Further, the bank issue bank drafts in case of payment of freight charges and other such charges that we have. The banks send the duplicate copy of GR form, that is guaranteed remittance form, to the RBI after realization of export proceeds. So whatever transactions that we are doing, whatever monetary income and outflow is happening into our account needs also to be shown to RBI, because RBI is a banker's bank and they need to have a record of every bank, every transaction, whatever money that is, coming into their account or going from their account. So at that point of time, all this will be done via a document named as guaranteed remittance. So document को maintain करना and submitted to the RBI will be taken care by the commercial bank on behalf of the export. So that is what is the role of your commercial banks. Then we have Exim Bank, but this we can do it in the another video. So the another audio will talk about the Exim Bank, SIDBI Bank, and the role of ECGC in the international trade. So we'll wind up here for today. And next audio will be the last audio for your module 3. Thank you so much.